Hello guys, it is Gates of Theories here, and we have some brand new, huge Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker news. We have had the final Star Wars trailer come out for this brand new trilogy, and the final film is coming out in December. I literally cannot wait, but this final trailer has given us so much to work off. So without any further ado, we're just going to jump straight into this video because there is so much to talk about. So let's go. Now, we're just going to analyse this trailer from scene to scene and see if we can work out anything about this brand new film that's coming out. So first we see in the trailer a wood with someone training with Anakin's old lightsaber using the droid that we've seen many other Jedis use before. Now, it may be Endor, but we're not entirely sure. And another thing we're not entirely sure on is who actually is this. The most reasonable person it would be is Rey. It looks like her, but we know she can already use a lightsaber pretty well. She can use the Force well and has had her training already from Luke throughout The Last Jedi. So why is she using one of these training droids to help her even though she already knows what to do? And it seems a little strange if she would. Now, before I said this could be Endor, most likely is, which gets me thinking this could be a vision and shows maybe Leia training when she was younger. If we zoom in, it does look a little like Rey with her clothes, but when we see her hair, sort of looks like Leia's hair, so who knows. In the next shot, however, it is definitely Rey, and again, we're not sure exactly where she is. It's one of two places, either the wreckage on Jakku and Rey's returned, or it's the remainings of the second Death Star we saw in the Return of the Jedi. Again, this is the new trilogy and has many parallels with the original trilogy, so this film is most likely going to reference Return of the Jedi and parallel with it. We then get Finn looking out at something that shocks him, and he says, "Feeling the Force brought us together," talking about most likely the Resistance and Rey, and Poe then says, "We're not alone, good people will fight if we lead them." And it shows Lando with lots more of the Resistance. This is them talking about how the Resistance is obviously a lot more bigger since the end of The Last Jedi, because at the end of The Last Jedi, the entire Resistance could fit on the Millennium Falcon, and that maybe the Resistance has hired normal people, sort of like Rose, who you wouldn't expect to fight, but they're fighting because they know that the Resistance is good. It then shows us the planet with water, which has the remainders of what is extremely likely the crashed and failed Death Star from Return of the Jedi. Rey says, "People keep telling me they know me," which is a reference to Snoke and Kylo and Luke and maybe even Han, who in the previous movies have mentioned small little details about who Rey is, or who they think she is at least. However, she says no one does, which suggests Rey finds out something about who she is, whether it's who she was in the past or who she is now, that completely contradicts what everyone has said about her past situation beforehand. Now, this leads me to believe we're going to be getting the answers to all the questions of the visions from Force Awakens and The Last Jedi in this movie all about Rey. However, Kylo Ren then confirms with, "But I do." Now, the way their voices are in the trailer makes it sound like they're not saying this from where they both are when it says this in the trailer, because they'd have to shout to be able to hear each other over this rain. I'm believing it's probably them discussing it in a vision they both have together, like how they were able to connect to each other in The Last Jedi. During all this, Rey and Kylo are clearly about to fight again due to how both of them look. Maybe Rey has not joined the dark side or something similar, but I have a feeling this is one of the final battles as it has many similarities to their fight at the end of both The Force Awakens. And later on in the trailer, we see Finn shout Rey on the same area like he normally does, suggesting it's a huge fight. Now, next we see where lots of the fight seems to be happening. It seems to be on a crystal ice-shaped planet. Now, I think it's surrounded by space and not water because the crystal isn't symmetrical, so it's not being reflected, so the planet is just shaped like that, and the TIE fighters aren't being reflected either, so I just reckon that is the shape of the planet. And next we see, I'm guessing inside this ice planet, Palpatine's new throne, which looks awesome by the way. Finally, we hear Palpatine say something, and he says, "Long have I waited," which suggests he's been waiting here, hiding and maybe planning revenge on the Republic ever since he supposedly died, and has been using people like Snoke and Kylo Ren to help him. It does also look like the place where we saw Snoke sitting on in the hologram in The Force Awakens, but I'm guessing it's somewhere that looks very similar. Then we see the Star Destroyer rip through the ice, smashing it, and Palpatine saying, "And now you're coming together." And the trailer shows the Resistance with its new forces, which are huge. It's gonna be insane, this battle. But let's put all of what Palpatine said into one line. "Long have I waited, and now you're coming together." Putting it in this way sort of changes its meaning slightly. He's been waiting for who to come together. Most likely, Rey and Kylo. And this would all be his plan. Maybe Rey and Kylo join forces to fight with Palpatine, but it could be like what Snoke said in The Last Jedi and be reversed. Snoke says, "Kill your biggest enemy," and Kylo kills him instead of Rey, who Snoke is assuming he's going to kill. So it might be they're joining forces to kill Palpatine, but then Palpatine uses the Force and says something different, which actually makes them join forces with Palpatine to fight against the First Order and the Resistance. It also contradicts what Finn said before, when Finn said, "Feeling the Force brought us together." He might be talking about the Resistance, but he could be talking about Rey and Kylo joining. However, maybe it was all just what Palpatine had been planning all along. Then we see Chewie, Rey, Finn, Poe, and C-3PO, but the shot takes it away just after we see him, and they're heading for somewhere. I reckon the device in the middle is like a sat-nav and has a map in, like the piece that BB-8 and R2 had to find Luke in The Force Awakens. This device is probably leading to the remains of the second Death Star and, most likely, Palpatine. However, Palpatine then says, "Is your undoing," and if we add that to the previous lines, his whole sentence is, "Long have I waited, and now you're coming together is your undoing." This, to me, changes everything. By saying it's your undoing, kind of suggests that Rey and Kylo joined forces, but in doing so, it lets them down. Palpatine is saying it's their downfall by joining forces. Maybe that was his plan all along, to wait for them to join forces, and then it leads both of them actually to fail. Then we see the remaining of the second Death Star. And then we see the part that I just kept on rewinding and rewinding and rewinding just because of how shocked I was. Star Wars 9 is the end of C-3PO as we know him right now. Now, I'm not going to go into much detail because I love C-3PO too much and don't want him to go. But they're reprogramming him or wiping his circuits to help them. And we saw what he becomes with his red eyes in the last trailer. Next we see Poe, Finn and Chewie, who I'm guessing have landed from where that weird device in the Falcon took them. I'm guessing it might be a Star Destroyer that we saw before rising from the ice, and it's probably protecting the ice place and the remainders of the second Death Star on and Palpatine. Then we see Rey and Leia hugging, giving Carrie Fisher a nice send-off that she deserves. Luke then says, "Confronting fear is the destiny of a Jedi," showing that Rey is going to have to conquer her biggest fear and regret to win. Maybe the fear on Palpatine, maybe the fear of her turning to the dark side, like sort of how Luke had to in Return of the Jedi. We see lots of action scenes, then the scene with the Resistance riding on space horses, giving us clues of how they might fight the First Order in this huge battle. We also see Rey and Kylo in what is extremely likely in the inside of the second Death Star, most likely before they have their fight the trailer's been talking about as they look afraid of each other, but more like they're just having to trust each other. Then we see the scene that the internet's going crazy about, which seems to be Rey and Kylo working together to kill an object that's helmet mainly represents Darth Vader's. Now the clip is kind of blurry because it all happens very, very quickly, but at the top we see a head that sort of represents Vader's head that we saw in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. However, look at the way they're positioned, and if we slow down the end of the clip, Rey is holding a dagger and is about to swing. They're fighting each other, and the monument that destroyed was accidental due to them trying to hit each other. If we look closely, it looks more like they're against each other than fighting anyone else. The way Rey's positioned looks like she is about to fight him and about to swing around. So I reckon secretly this is just the trailer trying to trick us and that they're not working together, but actually they're fighting each other. And not to mention, Kylo Ren also has his mask on, and we've seen in the previous two movies, Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, when Kylo Ren and Rey seem to have their little moments together where it looks like they could become friends and team up, Kylo Ren never really has his mask on. When they're having the visions in The Last Jedi and they're talking to each other through the visions and the Force, Kylo Ren doesn't have his mask on. Yet when Kylo Ren is about to attack someone, he does have his mask on, and in this case, he has his mask on. Take, for example, in The Last Jedi, when they team up against Snoke and his army, Kylo Ren doesn't have his mask on to maybe to represent that he isn't bad at this moment and is going to help Rey. Whereas when he does have his mask on, it's usually when he's going to be in serious battle. So maybe that just further suggests that this isn't actually them working together, it's just them fighting each other. Then we have an image of Poe, Finn and C-3PO looking at something. If we zoom into either Finn or Poe's eyes, we can see the reflection of a lightsaber, and the projector behind them makes me seem like they're watching an old hologram of a lightsaber fight or something like that. Then we see an image of the battleground and we can see just how many Star Destroyers there are. This is going to be probably the biggest fight yet in Star Wars. And then we see Rey standing near the Emperor and slowly moving away as she's scared. The Emperor has wires attached to him which are helping him to stay alive, I'm guessing, as we know he can create amazing pieces of technology which help people such as Darth Vader or General Grievous stay alive. Either way, Rey is meeting the Emperor and then who knows what might happen. And finally we have Luke and Leia saying, "The Force will be with you, always," which is a nice send-off to the two characters and actors. Rey is holding up her lightsaber, crying and looking. Maybe she's about to go into battle. Or maybe she is about to go into battle and is looking at the Force ghosts of everyone who has fought for this never-ending Star Wars. But now, it is about to end. So guys, that is my full trailer analysis of the final trailer of The Rise of Skywalker. Guys, if you did enjoy this video, then please make sure that you smash that like button down below. And as well, while you're down there, you can always subscribe, because you can find out more and more Star Wars content on this channel. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button as well. Tell us in the field section down below if you are excited for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. I mean, I was extremely excited, but I was still a bit on like, oh, well, the last two movies haven't really been the best. But then this trailer came out and it's just got me hyped for it again. I am so excited for this brand new movie coming out in December. Let us know your thoughts and theories about the brand new Star Wars movie down in the field section down below. And as always, we've been here at Gate of Theories. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys later.